Hello everybody, it's Peach. We are going to make butter pecan maple syrup tonight. Alright, so I have a pan here. It is heating up with the lid on it just to hold that heat in. I have it on about 3.5. So that's about where you would want it to be. You don't really want it to be any higher than that. It could cause it to burn. So what you're going to do is get yourself, for this particular measurements, I'm using 1/2 cup of pecan halves, not pieces. Now listen, if all you have is pieces, that's fine. You're just going to want to keep a very, very close eye on this process, because right now what we're doing is we are toasting these pecans. We want to do that so that those nuts start to release the oil, but we also want the oil to stay within that nut, because after we've toasted them, we're going to chop them up to expose as much of that surface area as possible and then add it back into the pan. So I will show you that. This is going to be a process that will take approximately 5 to 6 minutes, right in that range. If you want it a little extra toasty, personal choice. Alright guys, so now we are in to going on 3.5 to 4 minutes on the toasting of these pecan halves. So I'm going to give them a little stir, because I don't want anything to become scorched. And I want to make sure they're as evenly toasted as I can get them. Alright, again, this is very low. We are on 3.5 on the dial for the stovetop here. Matter of fact, I'll show you exactly what I'm saying. This is where we are on this burner. So it's not even at a medium heat. Now we're going to give this another few minutes until we get to the next step. Guys, we're about 6 minutes in now. I have stirred these a couple of times, and I like the temperature that they're at. I check that temperature by lifting one up, because I do not have this on very high, and smelling it, and that smells like a perfectly toasted pecan to me. So we're going to remove this from the heat, but we're actually going to leave the heating element on, and we're going to go to this next step. So now is when you want to chop your pecans. So here's where we're going to be exposing a lot of that toasted inner flesh of the nuts, so that those oils will be able to release into your next part, which is going to be the butter part of it. As a matter of fact, wait, now's a good time. I'm going to go ahead and get that stick of butter, or partial stick of butter, and put this in this very warm pan while it's not on the heat. So you want your butter to melt, but you do not want it to burn. That will not taste good. Alright, so while that's over here in this pan starting to melt down a little bit, again, it's a very warm pan, so if you take it off of the heating element for a few minutes, you should be safe to put your butter in the pan and not have it burn. Alright, so I'm just going to do a chop on these. And you can do a rough chop if you'd like. I'm going to do about a medium to fine. I really want to expose a lot of that oil into this butter. Alright, so we're chopping pecans. Again, I want somewhere between medium and fine. Oh, they smell amazing. Oh, the oil on the knife just tells the whole story. That's where all that amazing flavor is truly at. Right now, our butter is almost completely melted. So we're going to scoop these pecan pieces in. And then we're going to return it to the heat. Alright, so I'm going to give them that little butter bath, get it over here, and get it heated up. Now, I don't want it to even barely come to a simmer. What we're doing here is extracting that beautiful pecan nut oil into this butter. And that is going to be the base for your syrup. Now here's what we're going to do next. Whoa, that's a pretty full bottle. We're going to add our syrup. And what I'm going to add tonight is pure maple syrup. Oh, this stuff is just amazing. I don't personally care for any high fructose corn syrup or actually even cane sugar anymore. This is a wonderful, complex, natural sugar. It's just been reduced down. It hasn't been processed. So I started with half a cup of these beautiful pecan halves, and I'm going to match that with the syrup. Now, you can go a little more or a little less on your syrup. That is entirely up to you. I really am looking for a concentrated flavor of this pecan butter. Butter pecan. Oh, yeah. All right, so now that's almost more than I wanted it to do. But I'm very happy with this because I'm right here. Important that you stay with it because this can very easily brown to the point you won't care to eat it. All right, so now I'm going to add this syrup. I'm going to try to wait and drizzle all that beautiful stuff in here. I might actually add just a little bit more. Maybe, because I do want a decent amount of syrup. Oh, yeah. Okay. So now here's where the real trick lies. You've got to, pardon me. You've got to really stay with it. Now, don't walk away. You want to turn your heat down just a little bit. So I'm going to stay at about 2.5. There's a reason for this. There's a couple reasons, actually. Again, you do not want this to brown or burn. You don't want any kind of scorching of any kind. You want this to be a gentle marriage between the butter and the pecan and this beautiful maple syrup. You don't want to try to force it. That's not going to work out well. So take your time and stay with it. But here's another really important part. Be careful how much you stir. The more you stir a sugary product like this when it's on heat, the more you might encourage crystallization. You don't want that. You just want it to be beautifully warmed. I just noticed one little spot that had a tiny little bubble. And I feel like this definitely needs to be hovered over. I'm actually, yep, there we go. That's just about almost too much, in my opinion. So I'm going to turn my heat down even farther to a 2. I'll show you this. To a 2. And I'm actually going to lift this pan off of the heat so that the surface will hopefully release some of it. I like this though. That little gently foam on top, that tells me that these guys are getting to know each other. And this is legitimately all that you need to do. You don't want to heat this up more than about 9 minutes maximum, and I really think 9 minutes is pushing it. I think you want to stop at about 6. And what you do there is going to be another personal choice. I prefer myself to leave the nuts in the syrup, but you might wish to strain them out. If you do strain them out, I really encourage you to put those in a sealed jar and pop them in your refrigerator. That's great on ice cream. It's a really lovely candied topping and much, much better tasting, frankly, than anything you're going to buy at the store. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for tonight. we're going to shut this off right now, and our syrup is done. Oh, yes. And now I'm going to cover it. Forgot to mention that. You definitely, when you get to the point of having it done, you want to cover it. You don't want it to evaporate and become too thick. You want it to remain syrup. All right, guys, thanks so much for hanging out. I hope you try this recipe. It is very yummy. And it's also the same flavor that's very, very popular at a pretty popular breakfast chain. Yeah, it's like a copycat of that, but even better. All right, have a great day. Talk to you later.